As Zappos, what we realized that we did wrong was we actually had to change things around and hire slow and fire quick. And that actually sounds really harsh for a people-driven company, but we all know it just takes that one person to change the whole dynamic of that team, that department, the whole company, to affect everyone else's experience at work with that one person that might not be a good culture fit. Another thing we do is hire and fire based on values, and really stand strong to that, because what we're saying is that even if you have a rock star performer outperforming all his or her goals, if they're not living up to those values, let's say if they're not being humble or if they're not communicating with respect, that's actually grounds for dismissal. There's a really interesting article in Wired magazine about 9 months ago, and they basically did a study of all these different wild animals in their habitat. And what they were trying to figure out is their way they moved in their habitat. So they tried to understand, so first they looked at bees. And so if you can imagine bees, in their nest, and they're making their honey, but they're just kind of like butting heads all the time, kind of chaotic. So in the end, they're doing their job, but they're not getting anywhere. So then they looked at mackerel in the sea. And so what they saw there was that the mackerel, when they felt threatened, they would just swim faster and faster to defend themselves. So again, they were getting their job done. They were protecting and defending themselves, but again, they were not getting there anywhere too quick. But then they looked at birds. So if you can imagine birds flying over the Serengeti, they're all flying in the same direction. And then when you have one random bird that changes directions, the whole flock flies with it. And once again, when a random bird does the same thing, the whole flock changes direction. So what's interesting here is that each bird is acting individually as its own animal, but together they're operating as if they're one single organism. So in this study, what the scientists found was that all these algorithms of their movement was actually the very same exact algorithm, except for one variable. And that variable is called alignment. So the bees had the least to no alignment, but the birds had the most alignment. So if you think about this, and how do we apply to our company setting or organizational setting, how can we create this DNA, our values, so that everyone in the organization shares them? But at the same time, everyone individually is empowered to make their own decisions because they are entrusted from all the other colleagues that they were living by the same values and we're all flying to the same goals that we all share.